Hey, Sean.
Oh, hey there. Hey, Brian.
Hi.
Hope you're available. I was happen to be walking by,
Yeah. It just so happens that I
poking my
woke
head
up from
in.
a nap and here I am. I thought I would play you some Radiohead today.
Okay.
The
All
song is
right.
"Burn the Witch," and it is
Burn the
a
witch.
stop motion animated music video. And yeah, are you ready?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay. Well then, here we go.
Stay in the shadows, cheer the gallows. This is a roundup. This is a low flying panic attack. Sing a song on the jukebox that goes. Red crosses on wooden doors. If you float, you burn. Loose talk around tables. Abandon all reason. Avoid all eye contact. Do not react. Shoot the messengers. This is a low flying panic attack. Sing a song of sixpence that goes.
Oh, he got out.
He did. He did. I'm not sure everybody got out or gets out, but
No, I doubt it. I
yeah.
doubt it. Um, yeah, we didn't have the lyrics this time in it, so I'm not even sure. I only caught a couple of them.
I'm gonna send you them right
Send them
now.
that. Yeah, that'll
Yeah.
be interesting. I can talk a little bit about the story we did see, which is
Mm-hmm.
um, the Outside Inspector.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes.
the bird chirp bookend is interesting because it by bookending it the way they did, it implies that the bird is outside as well,
Right.
which I think is an interesting delineation between inside this world and the outsider to this world. Uh, I yeah, so much cool stuff going on there. Um, did you send me the
Yeah, you should get it.
okay? Um, yeah, as I'm waiting for that to arrive, uh, fun take um, on, on this topic. I actually enjoy these kind of comedic Monty Python approaches to something so horrific.
Right.
Um, I don't think I've never seen the Nick Cage movie, which where he ends up being the sacrifice coming in from outside. I've read synopses of it, but it's that story. It's
Right.
the Shirley Jackson type feel, but in some ways, I think you get a little bit more mileage out of it by not going into that dark tone the whole time
Right.
and playing against tone. I actually just did a talk on my vidcast about this, the way that you play tone against tone to kind of increase a message. And
Mm.
I was just in New Orleans. So the basic summary of what I said. I was just in New Orleans. I heard a marching band, go by down one street from my apartment. And I looked out, and it was I saw these guys in uniform, just a 5-person band playing party music, having fun, going down, parading. And I thought, oh, that was cool, a nice little experience for me. And then a little bit later on, I was walking down by the river, by the Mississippi, and I saw the band there, and they were all kind of like standing off to the side, just kind of standing watching. And I'm like, oh, what are they watching? Oh, and there was a funeral. There was a man, two women, and a young child, all dressed in black, holding an urn. And they were getting ready to dump the ashes into the Mississippi. And I realized this band was their band. They marched in with a celebration to the funeral. The child, she must have been maybe 6, maybe 7, inconsolable, wailing.
Mm.
And I thought, oh, this is cool. I mean, we all know about the New Orleans funeral, and this mix of celebration and wailing. And I was like, oh, I got to see it. It actually happens. It actually
Right.
is real.
Yeah.
And I think they get it right. I think that really is the right approach. Having been through several deaths now, that every death is a wailing and a celebration at the same time.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really matter. I've had people say, yeah, grandma died. It's been years coming, but still. And it's like, yeah, but still, right? Whether it's a surprise, whether it's sudden or not, we still kind of go through this balance of emotions. And I think what I pivoted that to say is a lot of writers try to write mood. A lot of writers will say, oh, I want my audience to be sad, so I'm going to create a sad mood. And if I create a sad mood, that'll make them sad. And yes, it probably will make them sad, but it won't make them wail.
Right.
And that's that's the distinction is when we tell our stories, when our stories are real about real people that are complicated, that are complex, that are celebrations and wailings at the same time, that are carrying this breadth, then the deep feels deeper. Um, one thing that Home Free is my favorite band. It's a cappella group, and they've got a guy who can sing really really high notes, and they've got a bass who, I mean, literally blows out people's speakers if they're playing him too loud. It's like even in concerts, like the note goes so low, the speakers freak out. But one of the things that they'll do, which is really interesting, is virtually every time in a song when they're going to have him hit that ultra low subsonic note. Before they do that, the verse before, everything gets pitched higher. So you'll often hear the tenor hitting his high notes,
Mm-hmm.
the verse right before we go there. And the reason we do that, of course, is because now we have a sense of why the low note is so low. Is because it's not, we're not just singing low and then he goes a little bit lower and like, oh, that's lower. It's, oh my goodness, that is so low, because we know what high is.
Right. Contrast.
Within a story like this one, I feel like the creepiness of it is so much creepier because the tone isn't, it's not creepy tone the whole time and we're spending time in this creepy tone and we're waiting for the creepy thing to happen. It's this juxtaposition of tone. So that's one of the things that was fun about this video. I think the bird beginning and end, again, the chirping of the bird, which is a sign of spring, a sign of life, a sign of innocence, right?
Mm-hmm.
All of that kind of combined, leading us in. And I thought I heard this, and I'm seeing the lyrics, that the lyrics are juxtaposed immediately with the tone of the video. Stay in the shadows, cheer at the gallows. This is a roundup. Oh yeah, oh man, there's a lot of cool stuff in here. Saw the red crosses on wooden doors. If you float, you burn. Because you weigh less than a duck.
Yeah. That's
right?
one where you just can't win.
You can't win. You just can't win. You can't win. Yeah. I love all those kind of tests of a witch. It's like, well, if you survive, that means you're a witch, and we'll kill you.
Yep.
Yeah. So within the video, fun stuff. Trying to, the setup. I think with the drive in, there's that burn sound.
Yes.
Burn. I don't know. Is that electric guitar? Is that what they're doing that on?
I don't know if that's electric guitar or a synthesizer.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, your viewers will let us know. I love that it started with the lawnmower. So it was almost a sound effect in the video.
Mm-hmm.
That was a music effect, and I love that blending. I love that interaction. Is this Radiohead's official video for this?
I believe so. Yeah.
That would be my guess. I mean, there are a lot of fan video kind of things of, oh, hey, I'm going to take this and I'm going to put their music to it, sort of thing. But this feels so connected, despite the fact that the lyrics are so much harsher than the video.
Yeah.
That I certainly thought that. A quick moment that I loved in the setup. This is actually before the lawnmower, when the mayor or whoever, the leader of the town, after he gives the instructions and they all leave, it looks like he's polishing his metal. And the pride, the town pride,
yes.
I think is a very, very cool subtext throughout. And we see that, we continue to see that when we look at a community that we might look at it and go, oh my goodness, how do they justify the horrific things they're doing or the horrific things that they're feeling? And that pride comes with it. The extreme would be the KKK, right?
Yep.
They're not going, look, what we're doing is really hard, but somebody has to do it, but it really hurts us to do it. There's a pride with it. There's a pageantry with it. There's this is what makes me a better person than you, which you see, of course, Nazi Germany. You see that in all kinds of racism examples, homophobia examples. We see that in the church all the time, in a lot of the church divides, when we're like, we're not as extreme as they are. And then somebody more to the side of us going, we're not as extreme as Gaffney is, right? But a lot of those things, when we get those things that are if you look at them with any clarity, are absolutely ugly. They always come with this pride thing, and we kind of deny that. There's a part of us that thinks that if you're going to be doing something ugly, you either are ugly or you're justifying that I have, somebody has to do this. It's dirty work, but somebody has to do it, right? Yes. I'm distracting myself. In Cotton Patch Gospel, the Harry Chapin musical, there's a song sung by the Herod character who basically says, hey, when the plumbing gets backed up with crap, somebody's got to get it out, right? So this is why I'm okaying the bombing of the church, which is the equivalent of the killing of the babies in that musical. So there's this. So yeah. But here, I think they're getting to a truth that is very, very common, and that is we convince ourselves not that this is dirty work and somebody's got to do the dirty work, but this is good work. This
Mm-hmm.
is beautiful work. This is, I am better than you, not because I'm willing to do the dirty work. I'm better than you because I'm willing to see that this is God's work. And you, I'm saying you, I don't mean Brian, but yeah,
Yeah.
Brian, you hanging out with the
Darn it.
prostitutes and the tax collectors is because you don't understand how good we are when we burn them at the stake
Yeah.
instead. So the polishing of the metal, wonderful little moment at the beginning of that to kind of kick that off. Um,
Yeah, and they show throughout their, to your point, they're like showing off all the great stuff about their town.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and
yeah.
then
If I
and then
could
it
show
kind
you
of
the
goes
if I could show you the best of my town, if I could show you the best
right.
of my church, if I could show you the best of my school, right? We would I would walk, and that's the transition, right? That's the
Yep.
difference. If I'm going to walk you around my school, I'm going to like, oh, that building that's under construction, it looks ugly right now. We're not going to walk by it. We're going to avoid it, right?
Yep. Yep.
That little scandal, that thing that happened, that whatever it is, that piece of our past, and this is really getting into where America is today. That piece of our past we don't like,
Mm-hmm.
we're not even going to walk by it. I'm not going to show you. We're going to pretend it doesn't exist. And then at some point,
Yet
there's a
it's still,
transition
yeah. Well, and
where,
also that stuff kind of leaks out from the edges too. Like
oh
just like
yeah,
that, she was showing off the bakery and the pie and stuff, and yet there's this stuff leaking out.
yeah,
Red.
yeah, because you can't hide who you are.
Mm-hmm.
America, we can't hide who we are,
Yep.
and if we're so ashamed of it, so that's the thing. It's either we're ashamed of it, so we try to pretend it's not there, rather than acknowledging it's there and fix the leak, right? Because you can't fix the
Mm-hmm.
leak if you're pretending there is no leak, right?
Right.
And then the other extreme is to say, oh no, this is the best of who we are. This is, hey, let me show you our building that's falling apart. Let me walk in. Oh, you've got to wear a hard hat if you're going into this building because it's falling apart, right? But this is who we are. This is the best of who we are. As opposed to the kind of the middle ground where you're saying, hey, look, the building's falling apart. It is our building. It is falling apart. We do have to wear hard hats. We're fixing it.
Right.
Instead, this is the way buildings are supposed to be, right? We take our ugliness and we make it the thing that is the best part of who we are. And yeah, we're seeing that over and over again with the flowers, and then he looks up and he sees there's a noose, the flowers on the pole, like a maypole, right? Everything is decorated, but everything is, this is who we are, and this is what we're proud of. We are proud of the fact that we've got the dunking chair, and
Yes.
it's kind of fun. We're
Yeah.
proud, like
It's a seesaw.
it's a seesaw,
It's
right?
they're
Yeah, it's a little teeter
playing.
totter.
Yeah.
um, um, the model village was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know what they were trying to say. I mean, it was cool that shocked that the guy saw that. Oh, the model village is the village, including him.
Right.
He's in there and he's moving. He's inside, and I don't know. I mean, it's labeled model village, so I have to assume that they're saying this is the perfect
Yeah. This
village,
is
not just, oh, here's a toy version of our village.
right.
This is the way we're supposed to be.
Yep. Yeah.
This is the best, not only of us, but everybody should model themselves
Yeah.
after us. I like the little practice killing when they were circling with their swords as a dance. And I don't think they were planning on killing her. That was fun. This is what we do for fun.
Right.
How often are we practice killing?
Hmm.
And we say that we're not killing because we're just practice killing. I was listening on Holy Post. They were interviewing I think it was the interview with, and this is horrible because I'm going to call her David French's wife. She has a name; she's her own person,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know who she is, and I can't remember right now. I can't remember her first name, so apologies there. Um, but in the interview, she was talking about her time as a um, ghostwriter for politicians. Well, not for politicians, for a news organization that was a political news organization. And part of her job, the fun part of her job, was coming up with insults for the other party. Ways of tearing people down, ways of talking about their looks, talking about their whatever it is that would tear them down, so that we could dismiss them, kind of a thing,
Mm-hmm.
and how fun it was. And she mentioned that she remembers Ronald Reagan and Tip O'Neill, who were political opponents, who were constantly taking digs at each other. And she mentioned that when Ronald Reagan got shot, O'Neill was the first person to the hospital to check on him and see if he's okay. And in her mind, that was, oh, the joking is joking.
Right.
It's not. We're not out for blood. We're
Right.
we're joking. And she realized in the job that she was doing and in today's environment that the joking is not joking. The joking is meant for blood. It's meant to tear. It's meant to
Oh,
hurt, right?
it's meant to. Yeah.
And so, how many times are we in that trap that she was in, where we're like, oh, we're playing at killing. We're not actually killing. This isn't the real thing. We're just taking pot shots at each other. This is just hyperbole, and I think it goes into things that we say about the poor, things that we say about other races, things that we say about other people around us, where I think there is such a thing as joking. I think there is such a thing as teasing. I remember, making a comment and watching a film with siblings that if the siblings aren't teasing each other, I don't believe they're siblings. That's just bad writing. Because there is something with friendship where we can, because of the trust we have in a way, we can joke with each other. But there is a point where we think we're joking, but we're no longer joking. We're actually practicing killing.
Mm-hmm.
We're saying that this is for fun, and I think we definitely see that. I mean, obviously in politics, it's very obvious these days. We no longer, we when we say, oh, the other party, they're evil, they hate America, they want to destroy America. There's, some people say, well, we know it's hyperbole, we know that that's not real. No, we don't.
Yeah.
Not anymore. Maybe we
No.
started out with an understanding that you take a jab at me, I take a jab at you. But now we believe those jabs.
Yeah.
We believe that person who's only here to take our jobs hates us.
Yeah.
That we believe that there is a political party, no matter what party you're part of. A good chunk of your party leadership practices killing by telling us the other party hates America.
Yeah.
And that's such an obvious illogical argument to make. That borders on idiocy.
Dangerous. Yeah, it's dangerous
To say that 50% of Americans
right.
hate the fact that they're Americans, hate the country, hate that they're here. No, like that. No, and we know that because they're saying you guys are the ones who hate the country, who hate that
Right.
you're Americans, who hate that you're here, right? But we're practicing killing each other, and that practice has gone past practice. The game of sitting on the dunking chair and using it as a teeter-totter has gone past being a game, which I think is exactly what
Right.
this video and what this song leads us to. Yeah. So the dunking chair, the noose and flowers, the alcohol. What was that about? Is that part of celebration?
I took it as maybe hypocrisy, but
Oh yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
I'm not sure, but
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
but the and celebration.
And celebration, and it's the thing that allows us to do the thing we're about to do,
Yeah,
which is kind of interesting.
yeah,
Yeah. So the festival nature of it, I find it interesting. We'll talk about the fact that he's an inspector in a moment,
mm-hmm.
because we have to talk about that. That choice was brilliant. Another brilliant choice is that they make him participate in the ceremony by pulling the cord.
Yep.
So he's not just meant to be an outside observer. He is a participant in the activity. Um, and that is a very, again, a common thing. And we're seeing this in the lyrics too. Burn the witch, we know where you live. It's like participate or
Or
or you got two choices, right?
yep,
Participate or, and we're really big on the participate or. We're really big on this is how the mob mentality works. Is if you're not part of it. I remember when I was an undergrad, I did not drink alcohol. It just I've never enjoyed it, so I've never felt like I wanted to. I was a freshman, which were technically I was underage anyway, and some of them were, but I was on the floor with a guy who lived for going to the bars, lived for it, and he hated my guts. We never had a conversation. I never told him not to drink. I've never told anybody don't drink. I
mm-hmm,
was not that kind. I wasn't. I didn't drink not because I thought it was a bad thing or that it was a sin. You know, I grew up Catholic. I mean, we don't. We use real wine. Sorry, Baptist, but we use real wine in our communion, right? Because we're not going to fake communion. Oh man, that was a dig, wasn't it?
yeah,
So, but for me, it wasn't a moral choice. It was just a personal choice. But because I did not participate with him, he would come home drunk at like 2 a.m. and be pounding on my door, yelling at me for judging him for being drunk at 2 a.m. pounding on my door. I mean, I wasn't judging him; I was sleeping.
yeah,
Right, and it took me a while to figure out why is he so angry. Well, it's because I'm not pulling the cord, right?
yep,
If you're not participating, his problem wasn't that I thought he was drinking too much or I thought he shouldn't drink. His problem was he thought he was drinking too much and
yes,
he thought he shouldn't drink.
yep. He
And he
knew.
had to put that somewhere.
Yep,
So if I feel like burning somebody at the stake is a bad idea, there's a part of me that thinks that, but there's a part of me that feels like I have to do it anyway. That part of me wants everybody around me to agree that we're all doing this, that this is a good thing. We're all on the same page. There's no doubt. And if
yep,
somebody's not participating, by not participating, they're now part of the evil one.
yep.
There's a night gallery episode called "The Class of '99,"
Mm,
where uh, uh, it's a futuristic graduation final test in graduation. It's Rod Serling. Twilight Zone is the guy who wrote it, and within that graduation, it's very disturbing. What they are learning to do, what they're learning to be. They're learning how to be good citizens, and they're using as role models of good citizenry. Like if you're a good citizen, can you look around the room and identify the enemy? And you look around the room and you go, oh wait, that guy, he's black, he's different than me, therefore he's the enemy. That person over there, they're wealthy, so therefore they're the enemy. That is one part of the test. But one of the moments comes when they the test is not just to identify the enemy, but to do something about it. And this guy sees somebody who is labeled as not one of us. So it's a white guy, and he sees an Asian guy in the classroom. He says he's not one of us. And the scenario he's given is you're both up for the same job. Oh well, he's the enemy. He doesn't deserve the job. What are you going to do about it? Well, I should kill him. And they say okay. And so they hand him a gun, and they say kill him, and he doesn't. And so they well they stop the interview at that point, or they stop the test at that point, and they pick on another student and they say, what just happened here? You heard what happened? He's like, yes. He says, is that guy the enemy because he's different and he's going to take your job? He says, yes. What did this guy do about it? Nothing. Well, what is your conclusion for that? Well, he is now the enemy because
right.
he is not one of us because he's not joining in. Says, well, what do you do with enemies? And the guy picks up the gun and kills him. So it is exactly this thing, right?
Yeah,
This
yeah,
mentality of if you're not for us, you're against us, right? If you're not completely on our side, you're against us. And especially in the things that we are most insecure about, if you disagree, you're not with us. And that's, again, um, when we're in this society that in this fractured society we're in now. I just had a conversation with a friend. We differ politically, and we were kind of having this disagreement about how we disagreed on politics. And then we were talking about arts and movies that we both love. And then we were talking about classes and teaching because he's also a professor. And then we were talking about, it was like, oh, we weren't enemies because we disagreed on this thing.
Right.
But that's not usual,
No.
Especially coming to politics, religion, sex, the things that you're not allowed to talk about at cocktail parties, that list of things, because it's the things we're most insecure about. So when I say to you, hey, here is my view on sex, and you say, here's my view on sex, and I say, well, therefore you're now the enemy and I have to kill you. You don't belong. You're trying to undermine me. You hate everything I stand for. You're no longer a good American because we disagree on this issue. That is a sign that that issue is the issue that I am most insecure about.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to, right?
Right.
I think, oh man, who was it? I can't remember if it was Madeline L'Engle, Flannery O'Connor, one of those wonderful female writers, but was saying that the greatest sign of insecurity of anyone's religion is if they can't laugh when talking about their own religion. Right?
That's great.
So yeah.
Yeah.
So this is exactly what we have here. He has to participate. Because if he participates, then what we're doing is okay. So we have to have everybody participate. Everybody has to be part of it, and the whole town is part of it, right? And that's the thing with these festivals. That's Shirley Jackson, the lottery, is the whole town has to show up for the stoning. If they don't show up for the stoning, then they are against the town. So we've got that the big Burning Man thing. As soon as I saw it, I'm like, oh, I don't think this is going to go well for him.
No.
Because I'm not seeing anybody else in the town volunteering.
Nope.
It's interesting they turn their back. They light it and then they turn their back. And I don't know if they're turning their back for a photo. They're waving, so apparently they know there's a camera.
Yeah, and then they wave and big smiles like,
Oh yeah, it's a celebration. It's
look at
absolutely we've done
us.
it. Yeah,
We did it.
we're going to have another great year of crops or another great year of
Yep.
whatever.
Yep.
Um,
And
but
we're
it
not
is
gonna
interesting
think.
they turn their back to it.
Yeah. Are they just not gonna think too much about what they just did, or?
Yeah. Yeah, they don't want to see the consequence. They don't want to see the
Right.
end result.
Right.
They don't want to be the one that has to bury the bodies,
Mm-hmm.
kind of a thing. Um, and he does get out, and I don't know whether that's what that is. I don't know if that's a nod from Radiohead to they don't want their audience to, we know if he doesn't come out, then it's too much,
Right.
it's too real. We're not going to watch this video again because it's too real. Uh, uh, or if that's their statement of hope of even though everything about this song is saying we're in a bad place,
Right.
there's still hope.
Right.
There's still hope because there's still an outside. There's still a bird.
Yep.
There's still a sign of spring. There's still, again, sign of spring, sign of hope. Yeah. So the fact that he's an inspector,
Yeah.
he is there to judge the town,
Yep.
and they are there to impress him.
And they're trying. I mean, they're showing him every.
And they're trying, but it seems like if I were to go back through it logically, he's the intended victim the entire time.
Yeah.
So they're planning on
I mean, they already
killing
built
the outsider who judges them.
Right. I mean, they built the whole model of the town with him in it, so they clearly had plans for
Yeah.
him.
Yeah. 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 And I guess that's part of the town, the model, right, is to tell
Yep.
us that they had plans for him. Yeah. So it's interesting that they've got this double motive going on. One of we want him to be impressed. He doesn't come to town and we grab him and tie him up and throw a bag over his head.
Right.
And no, we want him to be impressed. We want him to love what we're doing. We want him to agree with us in what we're doing. We want him to participate with us in what we're doing. We want him to see that we are the model, that everybody should be like us. But they're not doing it so he can go out and spread the word. Right?
They're doing it for themselves. Yeah.
They're doing it for themselves. Yeah. And so again, I think it plays into this mob mentality psychology of of, everybody would agree, right? The KKK uh, would say that if I had 15 minutes to sit down one on one without the liberal media getting in the way, at the end of 15 minutes, you would agree with me that we're right. And there certainly is a desire in a lot of these groups and organizations that to get the approval even of the people they are persecuting or trashing or destroying. If they had the 15 minutes, if they saw our side, then they would gladly go to
Right.
their deaths.
Yep.
They would gladly go back to where they came from. They would gladly stop doing what they're doing and join us in the stoning of those who were alongside them moments before. Um, yeah, this is a low flying panic attack. Sing a song on the jukebox that goes, burn the witch, we know where you live. So I know that you know where we live. We've already talked about that. This is a roundup. Cheer at the gallows. This is a roundup. Low flying panic attack. Um, yeah. So the lyrics are suggesting that the folks involved are masking.
Mm.
That the folks involved are equally as afraid, equally unhappy with it. This is the brilliance of Shirley Jackson's The Lottery. I keep coming back to that. I know that in my area, everybody was required to read that in fifth grade, or so. Um, but that it is a fascinating look at the inside of this kind of a society. The Lottery, for anybody who hasn't read it, it's a town's ritual every year. They hold a lottery. Every family comes forward and draws, and then the family that wins, everybody, the heads, all the different heads of the cousins or whatever, heads of each unit draw, and whoever wins, they draw for each individual member of their family, and whoever wins the lottery is then stoned by the entire town as a way of guaranteeing that they will have good crops the next year.
Mm.
So it is exactly what this is.
Yep.
It's a
Yep.
society. We all agree that this is the way to do it. We're all happy with it. We're all fine with it until our tribe gets chosen, and then our family gets chosen, and then our child gets chosen, right? And so it's on the inside of this low flying panic attack of this. I'm okay with this as long as it's not me.
Right.
I agree with this as long as it's not me or my kid. And what am I going to do if it becomes mine? Because we have to do this. Red crosses on wooden doors, and if you float, you burn. Loose talk around tables. Abandon all reason. Avoid all eye contact. Do not react. Shoot the messengers. It's like it's this mentality to a T. It's this mob mentality to a
Mm-hmm.
T. And I wonder for me. Um, I get so off track here, Brian.
That's
I
okay.
wonder,
It's good.
I wonder for me if I started looking at some of these mobs in my own head, these people that I look at and say they're like this. Um, if I took this abandon all reason, avoid eye contact, do not react, shoot the messenger, low flying panic attack. If I saw the individuals in the mob, how would that change my view of the mob itself?
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, so another reference is To Kill a Mockingbird. In the movie, especially, this is also in the book, but the movie you see it crystal clear. There's a moment where um, the individual who's on trial is being held at the jail. He's been accused. He's a black man who's been accused of doing a horrible thing, which he is innocent of. I think that's pretty clear. Um, but the mob is coming to the jail in the middle of the night because they don't need a trial. They're going to go ahead and take care of business. Atticus Finch is there to try to keep them from going in. The mob is confronting Atticus, and the mob is pretty much like, "Look, get out of the way. We're doing this, whether you like it or not. We
Mm-hmm.
can overpower you, so you can't stop us." And then Scout, the little girl, Atticus's daughter, shows up. Scout and her brother and their friend show up, and Scout has no clue what's going on. She doesn't understand that this is an angry mob. She doesn't understand why they're there and what they're doing. Her brother Jeb, I think is his name, does, but she doesn't. And she's just looking through the crowd and goes, "Oh, hey, Mr. Carter, Mr. Oh, what is his name?" She says his name. I'm not going to get it, but Mr. We'll call him Mr. Carter for now. It's like, "Oh, hey, there you are. I go to school with your son. We're friends. Say hi to him for me. Remember, we met because you came over because you're giving dropping off some nuts to pay my dad because he was helping you out. Remember, we talked on the porch. Remember that?" She sees him as an individual, not as part of a mob. And the moment she sees him as an individual and he realizes that he's been seen as an individual, he stops being part of the mob. And the people around stop seeing them as part of the mob and themselves as part of the mob, and they just go away because there's no mob anymore.
Right.
And they individually would not do this horrible thing,
Yep.
but as a mob they would, right?
Yep.
If we stopped and see them as individuals, what happens to the mob? If we make them stop and see themselves as individuals, what happens to the mob? Jesus does this at the stoning of the adulterous woman.
Right.
He kneels down and doodles in the sand. My pastor Earl Palmer in Seattle said there's all kinds of theories about what he was doodling. Some of them are very, very fun. He says, but we don't know what it was. So what if he was just doodling? What if he was just making them stop and think?
Mm-hmm.
What if he was just taking the mob energy and allowing time to dissipate the same way Scout does when she starts talking to the guy in the crowd, right? So for us, for me, because I'm very judgmental of life. Clearly, you can see that I'm thinking in my head of a lot of mobs that are out there that are around my own circles.
Yeah.
That I see as mobs.
We probably have some similar ones in our heads.
I'm sure we do. I am sure we do. Well, we're both artists that come from traditions,
right.
and that are in traditions that people like Radiohead write dangerous songs like this because they're artists. And artists are dangerous. So I think we definitely probably have very similar mobs.
Yeah. Yeah.
And do I need to do the work of remembering that the mobs are made up of panicked individuals?
Right.
I have a hard time with that. I'm listening to the podcast musical In Strange Woods, which I highly recommend. And that they have a character who's always reactionary. Like, whatever happens, he's angry about it, and he knows exactly who's to blame, and he's constantly shifting. There are moments where you see his humanity, and I kind of go like, I just want to hate him. I just want to hate him. I just want to dismiss him.
Yep.
But he is somebody who's living his life in constant panic, and maybe that's what Radiohead has to teach me today. Our society, yeah. Ask yourself: are you part of this mob? Ask yourself: do you require that everybody else be in agreement with you, or they are an enemy, or they are dangerous to you? Do you require everybody to participate? Do you avoid eye contact and still tell yourself that what you're doing is okay?
Right.
If it's not the outsider, if it's somebody from your tribe or somebody from your family, your unit, would it still be the same? And I think a lot of times our behavior would instantly change if we said, well, yeah, it's okay that we did this to them. Right. To say, well, what if it was reversed?
Yep.
They did that during Separate but Equal. It's like separate but equal, and we believe it, and so this is the right way to go. And they say, okay, so let your child switch schools. Just switch schools, because what they got is equal. It's like no.
Right. Yep.
Right? No.
Oh, wait a minute. Nope.
There's different kinds of equal.
Yep.
And those equals. This is equal the way it is. It would not be equal if we reversed our kids. So do we need to? Do we need to be asking ourselves, when are we avoiding eye contact, and are we brave enough to confront that within ourselves rather than go along because they know where we live and we don't want to be that
Right.
guy. Because we're all that guy.
Yeah.
One
You're that
point or
guy.
another, we're all that guy that's going to go along with something that we're uncomfortable with
Yep.
because they know where we live and we don't want to seem like we're the enemy because we're not on the inside.
Yeah. All right.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That was a fun ride.
That was good. That was really good.
That was a fun ride.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you, Bryan.
Thanks. Yep.
Thanks for exposing me to that. That was very charming. I'm going to be showing that to some people.
Cool. Awesome.